I just watched the latest episode of Helluva Boss, and I have a lot to say about it. I've been a fan of Vivzy Pop for a really long time, ever since she made her Timber music video as well as her Die Young. It's pretty inspiring to see a content creator create their own show, especially on this platform, which is kind of cutthroat. So it's pretty incredible what she and her team have accomplished. However, when it comes to her shows, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with them. I love her character designs, I love the world she creates, but at the same time, I don't think she's good at writing comedy, and I wish she would actually explain her world building within the shows she writes, because there's a lot of content there, and yet none of it is explained, so half the time I'm watching these episodes and I'm confused about a lot of things. Like, these creatures are supposed to be in hell, but hell is so loosely defined here. There's like 7 rings and all these different princes, but nothing's really explained well enough for just an audience member to know what is happening. Like, imps being lower tier is barely touched on, and if you blink, you might miss that fact, as well as hellhounds. Are they slaves? Are they indentured servants? Are they pets? Are they people? I mean, it's not really explained very well. We know Luna came from a pound, which that brings up a lot of questions. I'm a little confused about that. Are they for adopts? I'm just not sure. So while I'm watching a lot of these episodes for this show, it's confusing as well with morality. This is hell, but people act like they're living on Earth with earthly kind of Christian morality. That can come off a little strange. Like, the main characters are killing people, but we should also care about their relationship drama. It's a little silly, in my opinion. But if the show had no value, then I wouldn't be watching it. And I think I've heard other people say this kind of thing before. It's like you're waiting for this one special episode to happen, and you just have this high hopes that it will, but quite often, more than not, you're just kind of spinning circles on these plot points. I was actually going to drop the show because the past few episodes have been just this plot of a romance, and I don't think it's very interesting. I don't find Blitzo to be that fun of a character to watch because he's so self-destructive all the time and doesn't really have any good qualities. And Stolas is just, he became a mess after a while, and I wasn't too sure if I wanted to keep watching, and I feel like a lot of other people were kind of confused about the direction the show is headed towards anyway. But then this episode came out, and I was like ecstatic because finally we have the episode that was stuck in limbo for so long. So I call up my friend Crazed Cake and we watched it together because she's like a super big fan of that show. I'm a little bit more critical, so what better tag team to have than put us together and watch together? And I was pleasantly surprised with this episode. It felt so different than the other installments we've seen. The tone, most of the time, these episodes, the tone is all over the place. One moment they're like, I need to save my daughter, and the next it's like, ooh, let me flirt with my little imp thing. It's confusing. And there's other episodes where it's like, oh, I'm going to kill this character. Ooh, sex joke, ha ha ha. But with this episode, the tone was pretty stable the whole episode. I was like blown away. I'm like, wait, they're capable of writing like this? Why haven't they done this the whole time? We could have changed what that Western episode was to something more where the tone is consistent, and that episode would have felt more impactful instead of haha boner joke. Like, bruh. The statue did such damage to Stryker as a character, let me tell you. He became Chaz 2.0, and we all know we don't want to talk about Chaz. Let's talk about visuals. Visually, this episode is gorgeous. I mean, it's just eye candy. I can't look anywhere on screen and not be dazzled by everything. I love all the different hellhounds, how distinct they are. I love probably all the animators' OCs in the background. That's a pretty nice touch. I'm still confused about these rings, society, societal norms. Why is there a mafia in hell? Why is there a prison in hell? None of that really makes sense. It just feels like hell is like another town in America, I guess. What I loved about this episode is we finally get some Luna content. Like, girl has been starving for some screen time. The past few episodes, she's barely even had a few lines. So finally, we get some development for her, which she really needed, because most of the time, all she does is make jokes about how Moxie is fat. Which, can we stop that, please? I love how well done her social anxiety is in this episode. It makes perfect sense why she's on the defensive the whole time, why she gets into fights with the other hellhounds. I just love that. I love what they have done for her character. Blitzo surprised me in this episode too, because finally, you can't just say a character is a good dad and never show us when he's being a good dad. He gets a text from Luna and he immediately goes over there to check on her, and I thought that was such a sweet moment, which finally, Blitzo finally has a sweet moment that I can point to and say, okay, maybe this character is not so bad. Because my guy is just full of problems, and it's a little cringy to watch him stalk Moxie and Millie the whole time. Which, speaking of which, they were not in this episode. And do you know how much better this episode was? Because we focused on only 2 to 4 characters that were actually in the plot, instead of having these B and C plots. We just had one straight plot the whole time, and it worked. We got to see how self-destructive Blitzo was when he goes to parties. We got to meet Beelzebub, which her design is a little odd, but when it comes to Vivzie, she really likes designing wolves, and you just gotta know what she's gonna do, really. I saw people on Twitter trying to redesign Beelzebub, but honestly, this really isn't your show. This is her show. She can design characters any way she wants to. Seems like she's using the whole scheme of gluttony as a broader sense, instead of just just make like a chunky character. It's more indulging in a lot of different aspects of someone's life, which is fine. I think Beelzebub is a gorgeous character, probably very hard to animate. But honestly, with all her colors and her design, I just can't help but love how she looks. I didn't really like the Cotton Candy song in the beginning. Honestly, every time I hear it, all I hear is garden candy. They really needed to pronounce the T a little bit better. But after a few listens to the song, I think it's pretty good. My favorite song in the whole show has to be the one Stolas sings to his daughter, though, because that one slaps every time, and it's such a calming song. 10 out of 10. I loved seeing Vortex again. Man, it's been forever since we've seen this character. And the fact that he's dating Beelzebub is, like, explain to me what hellhounds are. How can they just date one of the higher ups? Well, I guess an imp dates Osmodius, but then they make fun of Stolas for dating an imp too. Like, where's the morality lines in this show? It's very case by case, I guess, and that just comes off as confusing and just random. Like, I don't really understand Beelzebub's world. What is the honey? I'm not sure what's going on there, but honestly, it doesn't matter. This episode is definitely a spectacle. It's gorgeous. The animation is stunning. I love Luna and Blitzo bonding in a way where Luna's not just kicking him in the nuts again. I think this episode coming out right now is actually better than if it came out back then, because imagine watching this episode where Luna and Blitzo are actually getting along, and then you go to Seeing Stars and she's just being like a jerkwad the whole time. It's kind of refreshing to see them get along and see her take care of her dad and, make sure he's okay. I thought that was such a sweet moment. I love how Luna misinterprets Beelzebub's actions as being like snotty or bratty. She's definitely like traumatized and has that social anxiety, so she's misreading these cues that Beelzebub is a nice person. Which is, honestly, I was missing those cues too, because this is hell. I assume everyone's supposed to be bad, but the morality in the show is so all over the place that I had to watch the episode twice to understand that Beelzebub is actually a good person, because I was on Luna's side too. I don't know what that says about me. Oof. Honestly, her and Vortex together, they're a cute couple, and I think Luna needs to look somewhere else for someone. I adore the Hellhound's designs in the background. One of them looked like Vaggie, and the other one looked like Velvet, and I pointed it out to Crazed Cake, and she was like, who's Velvet? Velvet's like part of the Has-Been Hotel character roster, so it'll be interesting when that show comes out. But I loved how they kind of looked like OCs of those two characters. It was pretty funny. I love how this episode doesn't focus on humor as much. I mean, it's definitely there, but it's definitely more tolerable than other episodes. Most of the episodes, I think the humor's pretty bad. And Vivzy, like, you should just stick to writing a story because you're pretty good at it. Like, the story is perfectly fine. The humor doesn't add too much to it. So in this episode, when it was, like, toned down, it works. It was pleasant to watch. I wasn't cringing half the time, or in seeing stars, it was like ADHD. Every scene, every 5 seconds was changing. That's just too much. But this episode felt so much more chill, so much more focused on an actual one plot, that it was very pleasant to watch. So at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to see where this story progresses. I'm not sure if season 2 will pick up. I literally was about to drop it because I just couldn't with the Stolas and Blitz stuff anymore, and the Moxie Millie only being side characters type stuff. I don't know. And the whole Chaz episode, the X's and Oohs, I really did not like that episode. Too many dildos. It was not good. No, and why does everyone have to have daddy issues in in this show? I'm not sure. But this episode gives me a little hope. I hope more episodes can be like this, where it's focused on one thing, because I think that's the show's strong point. I love you, Viv. I love your character designs. They're always top tier. I hope things go well with your projects in the future.